Okay, we're back. Math 200, 5.8, finally finishing chapter 5 notes. So when we have factored, it's already factored and equal to 0, we want to solve. Well, to solve, we just set each one of these binomials equal to 0. The reason we do that is because 0 times anything is 0. And in fact, if you have 0 and you got that through multiplication, one of the two factors has to be a 0, otherwise it wouldn't be equal to 0. So now we go back to week 1 here, where we solve one-step equations, isolate the variable. X equals 4 and x equals -2. Now, lots of students will skip the work and just say, look, -2 zeros that out and +4 zeros that out. And that's fine. You don't have to show me that work unless you want to. Next one, we have x squared minus 5x equals 24. So we want to actually subtract 24 from both sides of the equation, move it over to this side, and now we're going to factor. Now look, we have a 1x squared, so we don't have to worry about factoring by grouping or AC method or anything like that. We just have to think multiplies by -24, so we'll do our suspect list over here. -1 and 24, -24 and 1, -2 and 12, -12 and 2, -8 and 3, -3 and 8. Oop, that'll do her right there. -8 and 3. So we factor this out. We get to go right to the factoring step. X minus 8 plus 3. And now we just do what we did up there. X minus 8 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. Isolate the variable. Isolate the variable. And those are my two answers. This one is going to be a little tougher. 32x squared plus 36x, and we'll move the 5 over, minus 5 equals 0. Ugh. So 32 times 5 to do the AC method times -5, that's -160. So 32 times -5 is -160. And now we need things that multiply 16 and 10. That won't do it. We need bigger numbers. 40. How about 40? -40 and 4. That would be -36. How about -4 and 40? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So that multiplies to be -160, but adds up to be 36. But because this has a leading coefficient of 32, we don't get to do it just like how we did this one. We have to actually do a little bit of a substitution with the AC method here. 32x squared minus 5 equals 0. But we're going to sub in -4x plus 40x right there. All right, so now 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So we're going to do factor by grouping, pull a 4x out, factor a 4x out front. The greatest common factor is 4x. And we end up with 8x minus 1, factor out a 5. And we end up with 8x minus 1. And now we factor out the 8x minus 1. 1, 8x minus 1, 4x plus 5. So this is a little tougher. These were easier, where that was just a single number. You could just look at it and figure it out. Here we're going to have 8x minus 1 equals 0 and 4x plus 5 equals 0. So we're going to add the 1. 8x is going to equal 1 and then divide by 8. So x is equal to 1/8 is one answer. And subtract the 5, 4x equals -5, and divide by 4. X is equal to -5/4 is the other answer. So, that was a little tougher. This one, ooh, it's a third power thing. Fundamental theorem says I should get 3 answers for this if it's a third power thing. So let's factor out a 3x first. It's only 2 terms and they're not perfect. X squared minus 4. Ooh, now they're perfect. So now it's perfect square minus perfect square. So the difference of 2 perfect squares. X plus 2, x minus 2 equals 0. And so now we have 3x is equal to 0. We have x plus 2 is equal to 0. And we have x minus 2 is equal to 0. So divide by 3. One answer, x equals 0. Subtract 2, the other answer, x equals negative 2. And add to the last answer, x equals positive 2. So 1, 2, 3 solutions for a third degree equation. All right? So now we're on to the next page. Oh, solving equations. So they already set up an equation for us on page 19. So let's take a look at that. We have this x times x plus 1 equals 132. They want the product of 2 consecutive positive integers. That word positive is going to become important. So we do the distributive property. We basically get it equal to 0. So we don't get to isolate the variable here because it's a second degree equation. So we actually want all of the terms on one side equal to 0. We look at things that multiply to be negative 132. Ugh. So negative 2 and 66, negative 66 and 2, that isn't going to do it. They got to be right next to each other. 66 has 6 times 11. Let's try 11. 11 times 12. And negative 12 times 11. There it is. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So because it's a 1x squared, we don't need to do the AC method and factor by grouping, all that stuff. We just go right to the factoring stage. X minus 12, x plus 11. Oh wait, did I pick the wrong one? Oop, it was supposed to be plus 1, so I did pick the wrong one. I arrested the wrong one. It's this one, not that one. Whew, caught it in time though. So look, it should add up to be positive 1. So I need the positive 12 and the negative 11. All right, and so now x plus 12 equals 0. X minus 11 equals 0. Get rid of the 12 and the 11. So we end up with 2 answers, negative 12 and positive 11. But it said positive integers, positive integers. So this one's out. That one's gone. So x is equal to 11, and then the other integer would be x plus 1, which is equal to 12. So 11 and 12 are the 2 solutions. And the last page is Pythagorean Theorem. So this one is a bit intense. Let's take a look at this one quick. We got, remember how this works. A, B, and C. It's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But then on the next one, if you read it through, it says, find the length of the shorter leg of a right triangle if the longer leg is 10 miles more than the shorter leg. So if this is the shorter leg, x, this one is 10 miles more than that. And the hypotenuse is 10 miles less than twice the shorter leg. Twice the shorter leg minus 10. 10 miles less than twice the shorter leg. Whew. So this is going to be one heck of a problem. We're going to have x squared, a squared plus b squared, x plus 10 squared equals c squared 2x minus 10 squared. Yikes. So that's x squared plus x plus 10. X plus 10 equals 2x minus 10 times 2x minus 10. So here, distributive property twice, we get x squared plus 10x plus 10x plus 20x plus 100. Here we get 4x squared minus 20. Minus 20 is minus 40x plus 100. Combine up like terms. 2x squared plus 20x plus 100 equals 4x squared minus 40x plus 100. Let's red rover everybody over to one side of the equation. So we'll move the 100 over, we'll move the 20x over, negative 20x, and we'll move the 2x squared over. And now look at what happens. That and that, big old 0. This 2x squared, this negative 60x, that gone. So let's rewrite this problem up here in the correct, let's put the variables first. So now we want to factor. So let's factor. What can we factor out? There's only two terms, they're not perfect squares. So we'll factor out a 2x. This is factoring. A lot of people don't realize this is factoring. X minus 30. So now we have this times this is equal to 0. Just set them both equal to 0. 2x equals 0. So minus 30 equals 0. So one of the answers is 0. And one of the answers is 30. Well, it can't be 0. It's lengths of a triangle. So 0 is out. 30, it can be 30, which means 30 is one side. 30 plus 10, 40 is the other side. And 60 minus 10, right? If you put in the 30 here, that's 60 minus 10 is 50. So 30, 40, and 50 are the lengths of the three sides. And that concludes our notes.